noise that it produces. That is interesting. That is interesting. But that is basically what it does. So that is what it was named of that blur again. It was named lens blur. Now we're going to motion blur. Motion blur. Notice that all the blurs are basically the same. That's why I ain't taking a lot of time on it. But you notice that the motion blur only captures a straight line going down. But if you change the angle, yep, you'll get a fancier blur. And we go completely horizontal or go completely vertical, you'll see the difference. So motion blur is a great tool if you want to really accent that somebody is really going fast or something like that. A nice picture. You also got radical, yes, no, not radical, radial blur that can also do the same thing as well. So you see, this is the radius that your blur will be in. Then just put up the amount, and you will see and press OK, and let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so you will see what's coming up next. With 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 yes, and with radial, yes, with radial, yes, with radial blur, you can create a great design, so to say. But you have but you have to know how to use it effectively. But all you really have to do is just fo just focus on the colored hand, like this. So let me show you a next example of a radial blur. Go back to blur, radial, and if I go more to this side of the blur, then do best, then change the amount. Let's see if I can change the radial blur up. Let's see. And remember, if your computer is not good enough to handle it, sometimes your computer is not good enough to handle all of the blurring types. So I'm going to tell you that radial blur is also a very dangerous because you have to know how to properly and effectively use it. So let me just cancel that because y'all basically get the point. It's a type of blur. So let's go back to blur again. Let me go into shape blur. Come on, y'all should guess this one. This is a shape blur. It should blur into a shape. Blur in a shape pattern. Same thing with most of these blurs. Most of these blurs do the same thing over and over again. But it's basically the same thing. Nothing is really changing. So while this one is going, I'm just going to personally explain why this should be important. This is basically this would basically be important to say that blurring is an effective tool. Like if you want to layer on layer on layer of pictures and photographs, you can use blurs to accurately use it effectively. And one more thing I want to mention before I move on, because this will be the last blurring I'm going to be doing. I want to make sure I cover up all my bases with blurring. I just want to tell you that if you use blurs incorrectly, I don't want to tell you how to use blurs, but you don't have to use it incorrectly. You don't use, let's say, filters incorrectly. You can use it any way you want. Even the worst filters can look good if you can actually use it in sense. Okay, so moving on. Oh, that's one blur I missed though, the surface blur. But basically gonna be the same thing in feature special, just a tad, and it's basically the same type of blurring, but you have to understand the proper and the right way to use it. I can't just tell you the proper and the right way to do it, but I can tell you what you need to do to use it. And it's the same thing. Yes, it's the same thing over and over again. So we are finally coming out of blurs and we're going on to noise. People will ask why and why we would put noise in our image. Noise give our image distinction and contrast. So that's why we use noise in our so-called images. So let's go to add noise. And now you can start, let me just zoom in a little bit. And if you want to know how I zoomed in just now, I press Control and I also press the plus key. Okay? And now you can actually see the noise forming in the background right here. You can see the noise. So if I scroll back to 0, you can hardly see any noise. But if I scroll up, you should start seeing noise forming. I would not recommend you go past 100% with the noise. But let's go to around 35 and you get this nice matted texture that is perfect to use on some other occasions. I said a word wrong 3 times, but bear with me. Let's see. Okay, that is adding noise. Let's see this. Let's say add dust and scratches. Radius maybe up to 11. Threshold 4. Anything? Maybe it's not. Maybe we need to use this one on the actual picture. Never know. Some blurs don't really work on standard images. Sometimes you really have to use a photograph. So let's go to median and let's see what this one does. No. Let's see. That one doesn't really effectively do anything on this one either and reduce noise. Oh yeah, you can add noise and also you can reduce noise as well. Yeah, sometimes photograph have too much noise and you want to take it away, or sometimes your design has too much and you also want to take it away as well. So any way you want to do this, you can do it. Okay, this is my favorite one. We are going to render. Render is so interesting. Let me just zoom up for this one. And you want to know how I just zoomed out? It's control negative, hyphen, or underscore. Okay, so let's go. Let's click on clouds. It just renders clouds. You see, it is interesting. And it also creates different patterns on lines. It don't take the color into consideration. The colors is not taken into consideration with clouds. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But if you use, let's say this, but the lines that you draw influence the clouds, and you can't really change how much you use with art as well. So let's click on render and go to different clouds. And there's what you see. Oh, that's so funny. But I can actually make this work if I actually, you see how they share the colors in between each other? Like these colors going in between there and all that. That look funny. If you take away the rough edges, that would actually flow in a little bit better. Yeah, so that would be actually nice to do. And this is one of my favorite. This if you want a nice metal texture or wood grain. No more like a wood grain texture, you can use fibers. Fibers also work on color, but it only works on a amount of color. So vibrance, and strength and press OK. And now you have almost like a wood grain, but that is not really a wood color. So make sure you pick a wood color in order if you want to make it a nice wood grain effect. Like, it mainly took this. Let me just see if I highlight that, will it change the render? Nope, it won't change it. So you have to basically set it to one color. So this one my favorite as well, lens flare. It creates a lens flare in your image. You can change the brightness to make a dime eclipse. But just make sure don't go